Well, let's put our hands together because we have one of the dynamic duo that makes up Turning Tides Financial, LLC. That would be Katie Weibel is with us. And Katie is going to be talking about act now on your finances. Act now. Very, very important. Good morning, Katie.
Good morning, Niall. How are you?
I'm well. Yourself? You doing okay, girl?
I am. I'm plugging away and getting back to 100%. And
excellent.
Yep.
We're glad.
So I want to thank you for having
Go.
us. It's been a huge blessing. I've been wanting to share that. It's been a while since we've talked, so I wanted to share. I've been able to help and work with a lot of people that have come through your program that are just fantastic clients to work with, and we've been able to spread that even further to their families, and good things do snowball as well. And so it's been a huge blessing.
Well, it's great. I'm almost jealous that you're on the wrong side of the equator, but just the same, you know what? Our American listeners, listen up, because these ladies, Julian and Katie, they can help you. And Katie's going to talk about engaging your finances and changing your life with a financial review and how important it is with the PFM 6-month program. Let's talk about that, Katie. Let's unpack that right now.
Absolutely. So Turning Tides Financial is a women-run financial planning firm in Buffalo and Orchard Park in Williamsville, but we do things differently. We're not just selling product or insurance, but we really take a personal approach, and when we work with clients, we make sure that we're going through every piece of their financial picture. So it doesn't do us any good if you purchase a mutual fund if we don't know if you have debt. We don't know, are you living paycheck to paycheck? Do you have proper coverage for your family? So all of those things taken apart. And so Julianne and I, it's our passion to make sure when we work with clients that we're working on every aspect of your financial world. So we developed this program. It's called the 6-month PFM program. So PFM stands for Personal Financial Management. And it's very important because we dig into and we take our time and go through every piece of your financial picture. And we do it over 6 months for a reason. So we have to learn and understand our beliefs and our behaviors and how that affects our relationship with money. And every person is different. Every person comes from a different background and has different views. And all of those take into play about how we look at money, how we treat money, and how we handle money. And that's very important. So as we move through the 6 months, we are tailoring that program each step of the way to where you are at that time. So we may start with maybe debt elimination, or we may start with spending plan and budget planning, and we may end up doing retirement planning and insurance planning. But each month is set up to get you the tools and to get you to your goals and to set those goals. And so that way, when you're completed through the program, we're not just going to push you out the door and say, okay, nice working with you. You're in a good spot. Now keep up the good work. It's holding you accountable along the way, and then we're going to check in with you. And we're going to meet once every 6 months or a couple times a year, or a couple times every quarter, depending on what your needs are, to keep you on track. And a big part of that program is that life happens, as we all know, have experienced, and things will change, and your scenario will change, and we'll need to adjust, and things will need to be tweaked in order to keep you on target for those goals. And as going through this and, fast forwarding a year and looking back now and following up with the clients we did last year, it's amazing to see the changes and the successes, but also the tweaks that have to occur because things happen. And going back to, what you were talking about earlier, I can kind of derail for a second, the importance of an estate plan and how that changes things. We had a client who, second marriage for both, husband and wife, and the husband retired and the wife had never worked. And just to kind of give you an example, they thought they had everything in line. They had a good retirement. They were debt-free. They had the will set up. They had the power of attorney set up. But they never met with an estate attorney. And they didn't realize the importance of that until the husband passed away. They both had children from a previous marriage, and it was set up to continue through, both of them passing away, and then to be split between each of their children equally. So all children on both sides of either side of the marriage were going to get equal parts. Well, what wasn't accounted for, what an estate attorney would pick up on, was that what guardrails were in place that if that changes after one of them passed away. So the husband passed away, And the wife later on, after some years, had some things change in her own personal life and was instructed by her children to kind of retitle things. So they, in the end, when that wife passed away, everything went to her children. It didn't go to any of the husband's children. And it's not that they didn't do planning. They did planning, and they did the savings, and they did all the right things, but they didn't work with an actual estate attorney. And that estate attorney would have put guardrails in place that wouldn't have allowed that to happen. Right. And so now there's bitterness, right? Mm-hmm. So if we put money aside, right, we can't take money with us. It has a dollar figure, but is it really worth relationships? And most of the time, no. But now there's bitterness between that family, and unfortunately, the children of the father have to deal with that, and they have to let that go, but that takes work and time and progress. So we try to head off as many of those situations as we can. I can't say how valuable enough. Every time I hear you speak about it, it's like, praise the Lord about getting an estate plan, not just I have a will and a power of attorney, I'm good to go, but it takes the time. It is worth every dollar you will spend on that estate attorney. I can say that's probably the most important foundation that you can do for yourself and for your family. And then, of course, we build upon that, and that is, now we're not attorneys here at Turning Tides. We can't do that for you, but we can hold your hand and we can walk you through that, and we can point out where you might have some weaknesses or where, some things could maybe not go the way you thought they were going to go. And that's our job as financial advisors, is to be there and advising you along the way, because sometimes these things can be very overwhelming, and when things are hard, what do we want to do? It's natural to bury our head in the sand and want to quit or not acknowledge it.
Ostrich time.
So pulling it back to, that's why it's a 6-month program. It takes time to dig through these things, and we can't do it all at once. It's too much. It's too overwhelming. It won't get done right. And so we take pride, and we tailor it to that particular person. So some person may need more help eliminating debt. And it's amazing how much you can save in interest when you look at the figures. There's different ways you can pay down debt. If we can focus it and restructure it and save you, a couple hundred or a couple thousand, hey, that's a couple hundred or a couple thousand towards something else. So even with life insurance, I recently met with a business owner, and I'm so excited that when I get to go present to them the conclusions we came with, their policies were fantastic. On the surface, they looked great, but they didn't have any retirement. And so I'm able to restructure those policies, get them more death benefit, but also now they can take the difference and they can save that for retirement. So there's always different things we can do. And like I said, that's why it's so tiered and structured to each individual person. But it's so important that if you call and make that appointment, that's the hardest part, right, is to make that appointment and then show up for that appointment. Because remember, if you call and make that appointment and we carve out that time and you don't show or you don't show up, then that's time away from you, of course, but it's time I'm not helping someone else. I could have put someone else in that situation. So we always say, be serious about it and take action, and we're here to help keep you accountable to make sure that, we are staying on top of it, that we're not just going to let this fall off the radar.
That's fantastic. You ladies rock. You know that, right?
Well,
You're rock stars. You are rock stars.
We try to pack it all in.
Now let's talk about PFMs in the 6-month program. Yep.
So the 6-month program, like I said, is we're going to dig through. We're going to talk about your money types and your spending types and your habits. And, are those habits, how could you use those to your advantage? We're going to go through budget worksheets and risk analysis and needs analysis. How much do you need to have in savings? How much do you need to have in retirement? How much insurance do you have to have or should you have? And then setting goals is a big one. That's very difficult for people. If goals are dreams with deadlines. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have that goal set, what are you working towards? So, and if you want to get to a certain place, then we need to come up with a strategic plan to get you to that place. Right. So we work through all of that. And then, of course, your normal retirement projections. And the nice thing that I do with my clients is I give them an asset binder. And it's really neat. I'm really organized. I'm a little anal about that. But
I'm with you.
Yeah, I make sure my clients have that. That's one of the must-haves in my book, is because I want you to be able to stay organized. And when it's all in one book and you can see it, and it has a nice flow, and then every time we meet, you're bringing that notebook back, and I'm setting you up to, and we're setting these habits that so when we're done and you can go on and you're going to continue, and we meet again in a year, that you've had this habit in force that you've practiced, that of keeping things organized and knowing what you have and paying attention and eyes wide open, right?
Yes.
Making sure that you're, checking different things. That, we give you a checklist of things that you have to look at and review every single year. Car insurance, homeowners, they need to be looked at every single year. Things change, costs change, companies change, and
Yep.
it's important because you could be leaving money on the table.
And that's not
And
good.
that is definitely not good. And then when we get to estate planning, there's a really, really nice piece that Julianne made. I call it "I Died, Now What?"
I love that. Say that again for our listeners.
Sure, I call it the "I Died, Now What?" But it's actually called Life Inventory. It's it really is, having
Oh, man.
settled estates myself, it's everything that you need your executor to know. So what doctor should they call, who's the closest relative, who's your financial advisor, who's your attorney, what specific things do you want as far as your final arrangements go. There's certain things that you are requesting that are really important to you, and it also gives the executor a little bit of a little weight off their shoulders, because it actually walks them through step by step of what their responsibilities are as an executor, which is very overwhelming and almost a full-time job. So it kind of gives a little bit of that sense of security, and then you can share this with them, before you pass, and open that door of that conversation, and it makes it a nicer process for everyone, because unfortunately I don't think any of us are escaping our final arrangements. So
We don't get out of this thing called life alive, FYI, for all those tuned in this morning. Yeah. So make sure you're going to definitely make it to your great reward, so that, absent from the body, present with the Lord. That's the rules of engagement. So make sure you got that taken care of, but you don't want to be that person that goes, "I died, now what?" You just left family and friends in one ginormous, disastrous, time-consuming, money-consuming mess. And like Bob, one of our callers said earlier, prompting people to grab those gift certificates for the wills from Bear Smith Law is, if you died and left me in that mess, I'd probably dig you up and shoot you myself.
I love that.
Exactly, because you've said it. It leaves those behind with a lot of time-consuming and money-consuming mess to clean up.
And think about the ripple effect. I mean, if they have children, it's taking time away from their children. It's putting stress on, and we all know what stress does to the body. And it's just a whole big mess that doesn't need to be. So
today, Katie, what are you going to offer the listeners to prompt them and help them and give them a little hors d'oeuvre to say, come and see the rock stars, Julian and Katie, and get started on that 6-month PFM.
Yep.
And engage. It's time to engage the finances, right? It just really is.
Absolutely. And we have to reward fast action. So today we're going to give away 3 90-minute strategy sessions, and that's with Julianne or myself, where we'll sit down and go over everything that you bring to the table. You'll leave with our recommendations and have a little bit of a map and a plan to go forward. And in addition to that, Julianne and I decided that for anyone who wants to join the PFM program in the month of March or April, they actually get a 50% off discount if they come from Car Connection. So that's a huge value.
You guys, you gals are rock stars. You're rock stars. So 50% off for our listeners if they'd sign up for the 6-month PFM program. Am I understanding that correctly?
That is correct.
For March and April.
Yep, and you can reach us at 716-800-4290 or on our website, which is turningtidesfinancial.com.
Phenomenal. Katie, say hi to Julian, and you guys I mean, guys is just an overall term,
We
okay? You know that. You're not offended by
It's all
that, right,
good.
guys?
It's not at all.
Okay. So
I've
you
been called much
guys,
worse.
yeah, me too. Can't say it on radio, but it's okay. It's all good. So,
All good.
guys or gals, keep doing what you're doing, and thank you so much for those offers today. So, three families can be touched today, and call in at 883-5000, 1-800-684-2848. This is for our U.S. listeners. There's 3 90-minute strategy sessions available to you, and for the entire month of March and April, sign up at Turning Tides Financial LLC for their 6-month PFM program and get 50% off. That's killer. That is killer right there. So let's change some families, Katie, right? Let's prompt them.
Absolutely.
Now we've put the hors d'oeuvres on the table with a little gravy on the side. Now what are you going to do with it? Call in and talk to our board operator this morning, Joel. He'll get all your contacting information. I will kick that over to the rock star ladies, Katie and Julian, and they will be in touch with you promptly, and your life will begin to change today. It can change today. Make that decision. Katie, say hi to Julian. Have yourself a great week, and we'll talk again soon. Very, very soon. You're back with us again later on in the month, and we'll cover some more topics from Turning Tides Financial LLC. Live your life and plan your future.
Have a blessed weekend.